When people think of George Orwell, they think of the great novels that he's written: 1984, Animal Farm, Keep the Aspidistra Flying, the rest of them. And there's absolutely good reason to do so, but I think people often overlook his great essays as well. Politics in the English language, paramount among them. In the essay, he makes two main points when talking about how vapid our writing has become. One, that we use stale imagery, that the pictures that we paint with our words aren't vivid, they're generic and bland. And that we use vague language, non-specific, trying to use abstract terms that mean everything and nothing at the same time. So here's an example that he gives, quoting Orwell, quoting someone else. On the one side, we have the free personality. By definition, it is not neurotic, for it has neither conflict nor dreams. Its desires, such as they are transparent, for they are just what institutional approval keeps in the forefront of consciousness. Another institutional pattern would alter their number and intensity. There is little in them that is natural, irreducible, and culturally dangerous. But on the other side, the social bond itself is nothing but the mutual reflection of these self-secure integrities. Recall the definition of love. Is not this very picture a small academic? Where is there a place in this hall for mirrors or either personality or fraternity? I have no idea what I just read. It's full of vagaries and abstract terms, none of which are concrete in reality. Nothing that's physical, nothing that you can touch. The most concrete word in that entirety is the word dream. Right? They're using words like personality, neurotic, social bonds, self-secure integrity, mutual reflection, academic, fraternity. It's a bunch of academic words, bunch of words that you kind of know what they mean, but not really, right? You kind of know what another institutional pattern would alter their number and intensity. It's like, maybe, not really. I don't know what that means. The closest word that you get to something that's concrete, the word that actually is a concrete, would be dream, which itself is used metaphorically, for it has neither conflict nor dream, right? It doesn't have dream, whatever that means. And of course, the word dream itself is probably the least concrete word in the English language. By definition, it is something that is not concrete. But I bring all of this up with politics in the English language because, first, the issues that Orwell talked about are still completely relevant today, probably even worse now. But I specifically want to bring it up because all of these problems are hyper-exaggerated in the art world, specifically when talking about beauty. Here's Elaine Scarry, for example. When we come upon beautiful things, they act like small tears in the surface of the world that pull us through to some vaster space, letting the ground rotate beneath us several inches, so that when we land, we find we are standing in a different relation to the world than we were a moment before. It is that we cease to stand even at the center of our own world. We willingly cede our ground to the things that stand before us. Once again, a lot of metaphor, a lot of vague imagery, right? Small tears in the surface of our world, beautiful things, small tears. We're standing in a different relation than we were before. As if I know what that means, as if I know that I'm standing in a relation now and I'm standing in a different one, but I don't know what I was standing in before and I don't know what I'm standing in now, right? It's vague, but you kind of get it and you don't get it. That's something that you read and think, oh, that's great. Isn't beauty the best? And then you never think of ever again and you never do anything about. Here's another academic, Roger Kimball. There is, in all of this, an implicit analogy between beauty and beatitude. Understood as a foretaste of beatitude, beauty affirms its place in an integrated ontological order as the radiance of being. Beauty subordinates itself to what it reveals, but emancipated from that order, beauty threatens to displace the totality it once illumined, conjuring a rival order of its own. Pretentious diction in English words. I don't know what any of it means. I don't know what beatitude means. I know this paragraph is taken out of context, but that's a vague word. That's an academic word. That's a religious word. And you're sort of bringing in religion and beauty, which isn't obvious. Beauty is supposed to be a foretaste of it. Okay, maybe that's true. Define your terms and argue why that's the case. It affirms its place in an integrated ontological order. God, that's like the worst phrasing I've ever heard in my entire life. Integrated ontological order. And it affirms it. What does affirm mean? What does beauty do when it affirms something? I know what it means to affirm something. I know what it means when I affirm someone else. Right? I say, yeah, good job. Yes, that was the right answer on your test. But if beauty does it, I don't know what it means if a bird does that. Right? For an abstract thing to affirm another abstract thing, integrated ontological order, radiance of being. It's like, I have no idea what any of that means. And maybe I could sit here and academically think through it and try to be as charitable as I possibly can when defining all of his words. Or we could just be concrete. Or we could say, here's exactly what beauty is, and here's what is not, and stop talking in metaphor and just say what we know to be true. Orwell argued that the reason political speech was written this way was largely to defend the indefensible. That's British imperialism in India, that's the Soviet purges in Russia, that's the dropping of the atomic bombs in World War II. The Russian officer cannot say, "I believe in killing off your opponents," when you can get good results by doing so. That's from Orwell. He has to say, also Orwell, while freely conceding that the Soviet regime exhibits certain features which the humanitarian might be inclined to deplore, we must, I think, agree that a certain curtailment of the right of political opposition is an unavoidable concomitant of transitional periods, and that the rigors which the Russian people have been called upon to undergo have been amply justified in their sphere of concrete achievement. Okay, you can't say, let's go kill a bunch of people, but you can say, a certain curtailment of right to political opposition is unavoidable concomitant of transitional periods. It's a whole bunch of nonsense to obscure the fact that you want to go purge your country of a handful of dissidents, 3,000 at a time. So to apply that to beauty, the art critic cannot say, I think beauty is important, but I only have a vague understanding of what it is and why it is so. Right, he has to say, this is from Roger Scruton, the sense of beauty puts a brake upon destruction by representing its object as irreplaceable. When the world looks back at me with my eyes, as it does in aesthetic experience, it is also addressing me in another way. So I'm looking at it, and somehow it's looking at me, which it can't do because it's a painting, but this is aesthetic experience, so we're apprehending it, and it's apparently supposed to apprehend us. It's addressing me in another way when it stands as irreplaceable. Is it irreplaceable? Right, if I just put a copy there of the painting and you couldn't tell the difference, does it make it replaceable or irreplaceable? Now, of course, you want to say, no, of course, you could definitely tell the difference and it would have an effect on you or whatever. You can gerrymander all the excuses, but if it's replaceable, then it's replaceable. Right? To use these vague terms, lack of concrete definitions, speaking in metaphor like this, it's obscurantist. And it means that those who are skeptical, remotely skeptical, as I'm being now, right, we can just say, that makes no sense whatsoever. I don't believe you. I don't trust the metaphor. I don't follow the logic. Therefore, I'm just going to forego all beauty in my life. It also, mind you, takes those who are remotely curious and leaves them out in the cold, right? If someone's actually interested in aesthetic theory and wants to figure out what beauty is, they're going to have a hard time figuring it out when it's just a whole bunch of metaphors that they're having to learn from, especially when the metaphors aren't grounded in tradition, right? They're not drawing on Plato when they talk about reframing the aesthetic experience and the positions between the object and the observer. It's vague. It's supposed to feel nice whenever you're talking about it, but it doesn't mean anything serious. So it should be noted that the metaphors, the vague language, it can have its place, but it cannot substitute rational argument. So I'd like to end the video with actual concrete words about beauty, ones that can be logically argued, can be falsified, can be debated, rather than criticizing people for talking in vague terms, because it's difficult, right? It is difficult to talk about beauty. I'm going to attempt to do so. Beauty is well ordered. It is improbable and anti-entropic. It is a measure of the work required to optimally acquire its arrangement. It is an intensive property of the object. It is not limited as a good for the sake of itself in an indifferent sense, nor is it strictly limited to utility. It is a good for the sake of that which is most good, that which is most beautiful, and it teaches you exactly what that is. It engenders a desirous love, but that love is not limited to the object, but extends, once again, to that which is most beautiful. Those are big claims, each of which need to be unpacked and debated. Much of the language I was using is grounded in Neoplatonism, thermodynamics, medieval scholasticism. But those claims are concrete. They lack metaphor. They can be rationally defended and debated. So I challenge anyone listening to do the same next time you think about beauty. Define it concretely, not using vague terms like it breathes life into you. If we're to revive beauty in our modern world, it is the only way to do so.